Annyeong, it's Mikey here, and guys, I don't know about you, but there's so many different budget keyboards nowadays, right? There's so many different ones. Today, I actually have another one from Epomaker, and they sent me the EA75. Now, there's so many out there, and we're gonna have to take a look to see this, because the first time I saw the design, I actually thought it was the Ola F75. So we're gonna have to go right into it, take a look to see if this board is worth it at all, or what I think, and compare it with, say, a lot of the other budget ones that I've tried, and kind of give you a whole rundown of like most of the budgets that are going to be similar out there, and see if it's worth your money. So let's go straight into the unboxing, and please make sure to like and subscribe because we're almost at 6,000. So let's go right into it. Starting off with the unboxing of the EA75. Thank you again, Epomaker, for sending me this out. Now, of course, opening up the box, we can see here we get 2 extra switches. Those are the gray wood switches, the V3. We do get a keycap puller, switch puller, a really basic one. And you also get just a basic cable. Now, this is supposed to be a budget build, and you can really tell from the packaging as well that it honestly feels quite budget in terms of the packaging. Now, you do get the Epomaker manual, and of course, now we're going to take a look at the board itself. So this is the EA75. Now, it's going to remind you of a very, very popular keyboard. That's going to be the Ola F75. It's pretty much the same 75% layout, except the side, like delete keys, are going to be a little bit moved to the side. Now, this thing also has a spot for the USB dongle and volume knob. Of course, we're going to have to weigh it though before we do a sound test, and it weighs a total of 940 grams. Now that we're done with the sound test, of course, we're going to take a look to see what kind of plate we're working with. So this is a PC plate, and it is flex cut. So I'm not sure if flex cut really is the best way to keep going. I'm really thinking that companies are now just doing this whole flex cut thing as a way to, honestly, a way to kind of cut costs, and a lot of companies using the same thing. I would love to see brands really try to do something new. It would be interesting to have like something a little bit changed inside. Now, opening this up was not difficult. Using my tool that I got from iFixit really does open this up very easily. You just have to get yourself into a slide that is a little bit on the looser side, and then just get it in, and boom, you got it open. Now, taking a look here, we do have a lot of cables we have to remove. So data cables that are connected to the volume knob, the battery, as well as the PC, like USB port, so to the PCB. Now, getting it out, you'll see right away the volume knob is actually in a separate section, and it is going to be in the top casing. So it is a completely separate part that you actually will have to connect to a data cable, and you have that little portion there for the RGB. That's something that we'll take into a look a little bit later, but checking out this thing itself. So we're looking at like the thickness of about 2.6, which seems to be a little bit more on the like average side. So pretty much most plastic boards are kind of going with that kind of thickness. I would like to see brands really kind of do something a little bit new. In terms of flex itself, the plastic does flex quite a bit. In terms of the quality though, it's not horrible, it's not cheap, but it's not like the best type of quality. Now, as you can see here, we do have plate mounted stabilizers and they do come pre-lubed. So the amount of lube in them is actually pretty decent. I was quite surprised with it. They don't sound bad. I think they don't really ting too much either. So these stabilizers are pretty decently done in terms of, say, comparing with some other boards that are out there. I know some boards that I've tried before did not have great stabilizers. These ones are pretty decent. Now looking at the back of the PCB, you can see it's completely flex cut. I really would love to see brands kind of change it up. Like, it would be nice to have brands really kind of look into doing something new. And as you can see there, the plate and the PCB are going to be at 1.2 millimeters. This really is just a whole flex cut build. And as you can see, they also give you the nubs on the sides as well. So the PCB is a gasket mounted in terms of the whole board. Now you do get this styrofoamy type of foam on the bottom. Not the greatest, a little bit on the cheaper side. It's like a static sheet foam. And then as you can see on the bottom, you do get a silicone and you get a 4,000 milliamp hour battery. It was kind of weird though. So as you can see there with the battery, it has like a tape on there, and I'm kind of wondering why it was. I'm thinking because of the silicone, they didn't want to tape it inside the silicone itself, but that is actual dual-sided tape. So double-sided tape that if you actually remove it, you can actually tape it inside. So if without it, it actually is moving in, and I was trying to see if it actually is tape and will it stick, and it does. So I'm kind of wondering why they went this route, or maybe if that was like a mistake in terms of the manufacturing. But anyways, let's go into the modifications. So going into the modification portion, we're doing 2 layers of tape mod. I think that's probably the best for this. And as you can see there, so that's the gasket mounting. It actually goes right into there with the side, like the little socks. They do come off really easily though, so careful, because like while you're putting back in, it could really come out. Now, of course, we're gonna have to modify the spacebar as well. I'm gonna add about 2 layers of tape because I feel like the spacebar is a little bit on the loud side. So we add a little bit of tape inside the spacebars, and it really does help with it. And I think it really does kind of mute it up a bit, which is nice. And of course, I'll give you the modded sound test. Now we did the teardown, we did the sound test and the modding of it, and what are my thoughts? So the sound profile wise, it sounds good, right? I'll be honest, most of the things that come around this price range, like the way that it's built, like the Ola, for example, they're all going to sound pretty decent. They're all going to come with a Leo box switch, which all sound pretty decent. We'll have like more of a thocky profile, as you know, you can tell with this one. It is going to sound good. I don't personally like these switches, the Wolf switches. I think they're not the greatest ones. That they do have a little bit of like a how should I mention it? Like it's kind of like a mushy feel. I'm not really a big fan of these ones, and like they're not coming off like creamy either, right? Compared to like say the Rosewoods, which do have like a bit of mush, but does have like a really nice sound profile to it. It also has a bit of like a feels like there is like a bump to it, even though it's not tactile. There's like a little bump, not even like at the top end, but like more towards the middle when you're pressing it, which kind of makes it feel awkward and has a jump back to it, which is not bad, but not really my personal preference. I think we're gonna really have to kind of dive deep into it and really take a look at it, because again, like this design pretty much looks exactly like the Ola F75, which again, it's technically made by the same creators, so I can see why they did what they did. It's just a little bit of a difference here, but let's go right into kind of going to more of an in-depth look of it. Of course, one thing I can let you know though is if you are using this in the office with these switches, it's not going to be loud and you're not going to bother people. I personally tried this at the office. No one was bothered by it. It wasn't that loud. It's just when I was typing on it though, I just didn't feel the satisfaction of it, like say some other boards that I do have and I've tried. So let's go right into really taking a look and see if this is worth it. Now, going into a little bit more of a closer look with the board itself. So this is the EA75, and it is a 75% layout. The home and page up, page down, and you have a delete button right beside the volume knob.
I think the layout itself is actually pretty good. This is something that I personally like, but I think I like the F75 layout a little bit more in terms of 75%. You do have a section right here on the right side where you can choose Bluetooth or 2.4, and it does have RGB on the sides as well. So you do get quite a decent amount of RGB on there, but the lighting, we're gonna have to do a little bit of a backlighting test later to see. Now, you do get the different feet on the back for the different angles, so you do have a little bit more play with that. The plastic quality itself does flexible. If I flex too much, of course, obviously it's gonna break. I think the materials is a little bit on like the cheaper side. I wouldn't say it's the highest end material for plastic. Definitely can feel that it is a bit on the more budget side. There is quite a bit of flex as well when you're pressing it as well. Even with the tape mod, it does flex quite a bit. Without the tape mod, you definitely will get more flexing. That's something that is kind of nice in terms of like typing feel. It will feel a little bit softer to type on when you do have that flexing going on. Of course, if you're a heavier typer, but in terms of just say like, if without really pressing it heavily, you're not really gonna feel too much of a difference. I think a non-flex cut does have a little bit of a harder like touch once you are typing, but I personally prefer that more than the flex cuts. Now, this EA75, in terms of using it at your work, it is fine, right? It's not too loud. These switches are more on the quieter side, I would say, compared to some other switches that are out there. I think you won't have any issues or complaints happening while you're at work. In terms of gaming, it does work well. You can use it for gaming, not a problem. Of course, I'm going to show you guys the polling rate a little bit later, but I tried gaming with it. I didn't have any issues with it. I personally do not like these switches though. I think the Greywood switches are quite old. And the thing about the Greywood switches, and I'll go in a little bit more, taking a look closer to the switches itself, show you guys. But these switches have a little bit of like a kind of like a weird press feel to them and a little bit of a mush feel, which I'm not a big fan of, and I'm not really a big fan of how these sound either. Now they do have box stems on them, which does help with the stem wobbling. So you really are getting like no stem wobble on these switches, which is a nice thing, right? They did a great job in terms of reducing the stem wobble, which, you know, if you're playing video games and you are holding down a key, you will feel it. And some people really do not like that. I think they did a great job on that. But in terms of the switch itself, I'm really not a huge fan. It's like you have almost like a tactile bump, like in between the middle when you're pressing it. And I think that's not the greatest feeling in terms of typing on a switch. But that's my personal preference. Everyone's gonna have a different preference, of course. It's just me. Now, of course, we're gonna have to go into doing a backlighting test of this board because, of course, we have to see how bright is it, especially for those that do love their RGB. So let me turn on the RGB on this board and start turning off the lighting. So going right in, you can see the lighting on this board. It does have a lot of RGB on there. As you can see right now, that's at the maximum brightness. It's not the brightest board because of the keycaps not having any shine through. And one thing you'll notice as well is like the lighting is not super bright. Even in person, one thing I felt with the board was that the lighting is definitely on the little bit more on the dim side, especially when you're considering as a gaming board, right? Like the lighting on this board is not incredibly bright. I thought that they would have done something a little bit more brighter, especially like when I tried the G84 the last time, which was very, very bright with the backlighting. This one definitely has a dimmer lighting to it. Possibly it could be that just my version that I received from them. Maybe something went wrong with it, I'm not sure, but the lighting on this one definitely felt quite dim, especially like considering that they're trying to make this like really heavy RGB style to it, right? You have that one on by the volume knob, and then you even have the sides available. So kind of surprised that it wasn't super bright. But of course, let's go into the website. Now, going in the website, you can see the price is 80 USD. This thing comes in black or the blue. I think the black will also have the lighting like through the keycaps. So the keycaps on the bottom side will have the letters which will light up. And this is the blue, which actually looks exactly like the Eola F75. You do get two different choices of switches, the Reaper or the Greywood. I'm not a big fan of Lego box switches in total, but I think the Reapers are much better to grab than the Greywood. So if you are going to get these, I would highly suggest that because it does have like a light diffuser and it just sounds a little bit nicer and typing on it just feel a little bit better. Now from the website on the bottom, you'll actually be able to find the drivers and you can just download it depending on your Windows or Mac. This is the software. It must look very familiar for a lot of you guys. This is the same pretty much software that the Lula uses as well. It's just themed differently with Epomaker on there. It's a very, very basic software. I'm not sure why it has this extra lighting like setting in there that you're not able to use at all. You do have the backlighting. You're not able to change in the app itself, like the side lighting or the lighting like right beside the volume knob. It would be nice to have that kind of option available. I'm not sure why this app doesn't have that. You do have, of course, your top layer, FN layer. You can change the momentary or toggle. That's something that's nice to have, but this software really is basic. You do have macros available, and you can see here in the settings, you can do change like the sleep time. One thing about the sleep time too is if you're not touching the keyboard for a long time, it will fall asleep, but it actually wakes up really quickly. So that's a big plus. I was quite surprised to see that it does react really quick. Once you press a key, it just goes right away. But that also might mean the battery is draining. Now, this is getting 1,000 polling rate, which is good for gaming. It's not the best, but it's more than enough that you're going to need for just your common casual gaming. Now, of course, we're going to have to go into comparing this board with, say, a lot of the other budget boards that I've tried, right? I've tried like the Inky and the Vibe and the G84. So let me give you a sound comparison between them all. So we're going to have to go in and compare the different boards that I just showed you in terms of the sound test, right? So the EA75 starts at 80 USD, 2 colors, 2 different switch variants. It's got a 4,000 milliamp hour battery, and this is the Aula F75. Now, currently I have it in Canadian, which is not good. I'm gonna have to change it up for you guys to show it, but it comes in 4 different color variants, and the price is actually going to be exactly the same. It's going to be $79.99, so same 80 USD. But it comes with 3 different switches compared to the EA75, which if you look at here, it's just a different, like it's the same 75%, but just a slightly different layout. Same thing, 4,000 milliamp hour battery. You're pretty much getting the exact same experience, everything. Even the app software is gonna be the same. This is the Michelang's Vibe 75 V2, same thing, $80, 2 different color variants, 1 switch only, 4,000 milliamp hour battery. And the thing about this one is that you do only get a screen on there, no volume knob. They used to have a volume knob. I think that's gone now. The thing about it though, it has a like metal side, which is actually really nice to see. It does provide a little bit more in terms of the quality to it. You have here the Inky 75. This thing is a 70 USD metal aluminum keyboard, right? It's 4,000 mAh battery. It is only 500 polling rate though, and you'd have to use the ultra low latency mode to actually get the 1,000, which is kind of unfortunate. And it's very, very heavy, like over 2 kilos. This is a G84. It's only 70 USD. This thing comes in 3 colors, comes with 2 different switches, or yeah, 2 different switches you can get with it. And it has a lot of RGB and 4,000 mAh battery. This is the Linky 87 TKL. This thing as well is looking at 4,000 mAh battery, has the 1,000 polling rate, and it's much cheaper. Though shipping on it is not going to be great, but I'll go into that a bit soon. Now, if you're going to compare them, right? This thing looks exactly like the Aula F75, but it comes with switches that are a little bit on the older side. I think that like, I get it. There's people out there that like different layouts, right? This thing has the arrow keys spaced out a little bit more, and it really comes down to what you personally like. This is what I was talking about in terms of the Linky 87. This thing is a lot cheaper, right? You're looking at 40 USD. And the thing is though, depending on where you live, the shipping can get very, very expensive, and then you might have to be paying pretty much double. Like you're paying the same price as the board to ship it. So like $60, $70. The G84, $70. If you could buy it on Amazon or find different prices, you can really find it really cheap. And it comes with really good sound, and it's built well with RGB. Comparing the E75 and the Aula F75, which honestly I think they're going to be identical, the G84 stands out really well. I think the G84, if you're looking for one, is going to be a much better choice because of the VIA support, right? The software in the Epomaker F75 as well as the EA75 is really not great, and same thing goes for the Mechlands. They all actually use the same software but just different skins. I personally think that like if you are looking for a board, I get like it depends on the person, right? Some people might want the screen, some people might want the volume knob. For your bang for your buck that you're going to be getting in terms of paying that price range, the G84 is going to be a much better choice. If you really do want the EA75 for $80, I would get, of course, the Reaper switch. You know, personally, I think both the Aula F75 is also a good one with different switches available, right? I would probably go for one of the different ones instead of the Reaper switch on this one. I think at this price range, the G84 is going to be honestly your best choice.
Now, I do hope that my comparisons and everything and giving my opinion did help you guys. I personally do not think that this board is 100% worth it. I just think there's so much that's out there that, you know, it could definitely become more cheaper. I think the price wise, they could definitely bring it down a bit. When I compare this with like say a lot of the other budget boards out there, it's really hard to justify just like that you should grab this one over the other ones. It really comes down to personal preference at a certain point. I think right now with the market so saturated, that's where it's kind of gone to. I would honestly say a lot of the boards are kind of similar to each other. They're all going to be around a similar price range. They're all coming with very similar sound profiles, systems, software, everything. I would personally pick a G84 over this. That's my personal preference. Even though it doesn't come with a volume knob, I think that one is actually a better pick. That's just because you get so much more for it. It's also VIA supported, which is, or works with VIA, which is really great compared to say somewhere like this one with the software not being really the best software that I would say that's out there. So really take a look at it though. I mean, I'll have the links in the description for you guys to check it out, of course, but I gave you guys my honest opinion. I really do think the other one is a better one, like the G84. So I'll have to get you guys next time, but please go check out the other video I got, and please make sure to like and subscribe.